So hello, first you want to open your browser. In that, search for Devcpp. It is an C compiler and you want to click on the second link. You click on download and you can also press Ctrl J to see how much is it being downloaded. Once it downloaded, either just click on the top right or on where it's downloaded, just run the file and make sure it says 5.11. The 4.99 is an old edition, it doesn't really work. It's no problem if it says near the setup. Make sure the main version in the near the name is 5.11. There, now we just click on that and it will start the installation. As any installation goes, we just click next. Okay, we select the English language and okay, we just agree, next as usual. And finish. You can keep it ticked if you want to test it, which is generally what I do. And now generally I would like to run a simple code to test. So we select the language again. You can change any fonts if you want. I like to go with like a matrix stream. It's like a dark mode here. Okay, now Control N to create a file, or you can just click on File, New File. Here you wanna type this code, hashtag include less than symbol stdio.h. we write the main function printf hello world, right? And you can just F11 to run it. You can only run it once you save any file. So F11 to compile and run. There. So if you just run the file, it won't update. Make sure you have to compile and run, only then the changed code will be updated. Now let's try to install Python. So search for Python, go to downloads, scroll down and click on the Python version. 3.13 doesn't support any libraries yet, so it's probably best to install something like 3.12. I right now use the 3.12.9. You can just click on the Windows installer 64-bit. It makes the process very easy and automated. And then we click on it again to run it. Here make sure to tick so you can download any libraries in the future, and making sure pip install works. That's why we have to tick down. And once you click install now, it will install. Since I already have installed, it won't work for me. If it does install, it should come like this. Okay, now for the folder where I can store my pycharm projects, let me uninstall mine so we can neatly see how to install this. So there, I just let me uninstall. Let's try to run this. Here you can see there is one thing called ideally Python. Make sure to open the ideally. There are other things, but it's generally it's best to run ideally if you don't have any other like IDEs. Okay, now let's just run. You can configure to change the size. I generally like to increase the size a bit so you guys can see. As you can see, we can print stuff here. It works just fine. Just making sure. But I generally like to use something called the ID pycharm. Here you can see me testing how the file code works. So if you want to copy paste, make sure you have to do it in this file type and not the default one. Default one only works as a command line, and generally this file type is more convenient to run. So if you can just print right now, print hello world. I will be telling how to code in the next episodes of these videos. Okay, this is just an installation video. Here we can go for pycharm. In the link, do not download the first one. This is the professional. If you scroll down, there it is the free version. We want to download the free version. Okay, just leave it on default and click on download. It might take some time to download. It's about a half GB in size. Let's try to focus on the C code. Here hashtag is called something called a preprocessor. Okay, to put it simply, if we includes the stdio.h, which means standard input output. This is an header file. Okay, H stands for header file, and standard input output, where I stands for input and O stands for output. Okay, input generally means let us take a calculator. Okay, here when I do, let's say some random calculation like 8 minus 9 plus 6. Here 8 minus 9 plus 6 is the input, where when I press equal to 5 is my output. Okay, so generally whenever we get some sort of response from the computer, we call it an output. Here printf is a function. To print a function out, we use the output function, that is printf. Okay, without printf also we have a way to do. Let's ask ChatGPT how does it do. Okay, so if we try to, let's say, print some random stuff just like this hello world without using printf, you will have this. But here it also use some sort of library. But if we remove all the libraries and just use raw C, it mostly becomes an assembly language. Here something looks like this. Now this is a lot of line, even to just print a simple word like hello world or just take input, and that is why we have this function which are inside the library stdio.h, because of which we can simply use it. See, instead of this all code, we just have to use that one line of library code. Okay, for some reason it's not working for me. It probably I don't have the right compiler, but yeah, as you can see, if you do run it, execute it right, I should get a code like this, output like that. Okay, so that's what standard input output stands for. Input, we have the scan function, where with the parenthesis, whenever anything has parenthesis, we call it function, and for output we use the print function, which is what we generally use, and this parenthesis is what makes anything a function. Okay, inside it we have hello world, situation in double quotes, which makes it a string. Okay, anything inside double quotes is called a string. String is simply just a collection of letters, characters, symbols, anything including space. Now we know I stands for input, O stands for output. STD is just to say it is a standard method. So it's like a standard way we can use instead of other complicated ways. Include is to make these two functions, input and output function, to this file in which we are executing, and preprocesses basically compiles and makes them ready to use for this file. And that is why we use the hashtag. It means to pre-process things. It pre-processes and makes those functions ready to use. And now let's talk about the main function. Main function, you can simply say it is like difference between telling the rules and asking you to follow the rules. Okay, for example, I ask you to sit, or when I say sit I want you to sit, and when I say stand I want you to stand. You know the simple sit stand game. I can tell you rules, but you don't execute them. When I'm telling the rules, let's say if you want to sit, you sit. If you want to stand, you stand. You don't follow it. But when I want you to follow, you do it. But computer doesn't know all that, so we use the main function. In the main function, when I say it to sit, the computer will sit. When I say it to stand, it will stand. Outside of the main function, I will be explaining what sit and stand is. So anything that written inside the main function will only work. So here let us try to replicate it with print. Okay, so if I want to write something outside of main function, you generally want to write it using some functions. Here I took a function p, lowercase, and here whenever I call p, so whenever I say p, the computer should say hi. Okay, now if I run this, the computer doesn't say hi, it only says hello world, because instead of the main function I have only written main, print hello world. But if I call the p function now, okay, and semicolon, now if I run it, it calls the thing, because now I have told the computer that to follow that p function, which is to say hi. It's lagging a bit. It is kind of a bit of a heavy application. There it started. I think it opened a bunch for me. Let me just sort it out. I am click on yes, and then you can just click on next, 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 and there. If multiple popped up, you can just ignore them by saying no. The first main one you can just say yes. Okay, this is going to take some time. If you have SSD, it will be done quickly. And there, let me run it now. I can generally just skip the imports because I like to customize my pycharm separate to the other environments. Now I click on new project. Okay, here I like to use custom environment, or you can use like project VN if we don't know how to set up Python and all that. I generally just say just go to custom environment. Here you can select existing and select the one that's detected in your system. You can manually change it, but instead of manually changing it, I would probably say it's easier to do the project VNV. It just means for your project itself, it will create a virtual Python environment. And let me just let it load. You can see down whether when it's indexing or updating, it means it's still loading. We'll give it some time, like 1-2 minutes, and it will load everything properly. Once it's done, it will smooth it down. Okay, I want to save it in another storage, that's why I'm closing and recreating it. As you can see, I like to store it in D drive. You can also store it wherever you want. I generally like to keep this in D drive in the my pycharms project I just created. So there, custom environment, select existing Python and my Python, create from existing source. So yeah, there, these are few previous projects. I don't need them. Let me just create a new Python file. Let me name it something like test typo, and there. Now let's to print hello world. If you can see down, it's still indexing. That is the reason it's a bit slow. If you are working with libraries, it's a good thing to wait till everything is indexed. Okay, and there, for Python, the entire file itself is like the main function, so you don't really have to explicitly declare anything like main function. In Python, most of the things in strictly declared. And here, similar to the printf function which we use in C, in Python we use print function.